countdown to blast off. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Welcome to Lord Blood-Rah's Wrackin Theater. Lord Blood-Rah, good! Welcome. My lords and ladies, geeks, geekerillas, geekulas, and geekeritas, I am Lord Blood-Rah, and this is Lord Blood-Rah's Wrackin Theater. Now, I've mentioned many times before that the horror host show I grew up watching was the San Francisco Bay Area's Creature Features, hosted in the 1970s by legendary host Bob Wilkins. Bob Wilkins retired in 1978 and left the show in the very capable hands of journalist, author, filmmaker, and lifelong horror and science fiction fan John Stanley. And tonight, we not only have John Stanley's only feature-length film for you, but we also have the man himself. From 1977, it's the horror film made by a horror host for horror fans. It's Nightmare in Blood. John Stanley will be our very special guest for tonight's episode. I'll be asking him about his days hosting Creature Features, his many books and short films, and, of course, the production of the film we're about to see. Well, my lords and ladies, without further ado, I give to you the tale of a vampire hiding in plain sight in the glory days of 1970s fandom. Here is Nightmare in Blood.
coming to this theater next week.
You thrill to the bloodlust of Malachi and the Crimson Demon. You hail when the guillotines of France were red with the blood of his enemies in the Zaroff Doom. Now, see Malachi, Hollywood's top box office horror star, in his latest fright classic, The Crypt Ran Red. Co-starring Wanda Evans as Cynthia, the temptress who lived too quickly and not long enough. Trapped by her own desires, she never saw the army of the undead which marched forth at Malachi's bidding. With Maria Nagel as Cassandra, the seductress Malachi could not resist, though her lips meant death.
A suicidal stake through his own heart. Self-sacrificing vampire.
Curtis Nolan as the police inspector, who knew his modern force was no match for the might of a 1,000-year-old monster. Eduardo Nash as the doctor. He knew the answer to the mystery could only be found in the family crypt, but he dare not reveal it.
I tell you, Professor, these killings are strange, almost beyond belief.
Hogwash, Doctor. Surely you don't believe them old superstitions? Rubbish. Never has the screen showcased such terror, and never has Malachi crossed the threshold from death to life with such foreboding power, such deadly menace. Malachi rises from the grave again to chill and thrill you. Don't miss The Crypt Ran Red. Rated PG.
Not now, not now. Okay, now. Well, here it is, our Palace of Horror. What do you think, Cindy?
I mean, the original Frankenstein film must have played here.
That's possible. Original Frankenstein, Universal, 1931, starring Boris Karloff.
Reminds me of the locale of your first horror novel.
There's plenty of atmosphere. This is like a set from one of those Christopher Lee British films.
Yeah, there are ghosts all over the place.
How do you know that?
Elementary. Sherlock knows everything. Shh. Listen.
What is that? No, come on, I'm serious. What is that?
The ghost of the old usher.
No, there is somebody here.
This is Flannery, the custodian.
Yeah, since 28 when they first opened the place. What are you doing around here? I got cleaning to do. Expect a bunch of nuts renting the place for a crazy convention.
That's us. We're the convention committee.
Oh, you're the ones putting on the horror con.
Yeah, we're the nuts.
You want to hold a screwball convention, go right ahead. Just as long as I get no complaints about my coffee and Danish. It's not like the old days. That's when they made real scary movies. Lon Chaney and the Phantom of the Opera. John Barrymore, Dr. Jekyll, and Mr. Hyde.
Hey, how'd you like the Ghost?
Oh, I think I'm in love.
Yeah, I hear you.
It's terrific.
Just imagine, in about 2 hours, Malachi's coffin on that stage.
You really ready for him, Professor? Pretty weird how he lives his role off screen.
Oh, the fans eat that up. I mean, don't forget a box office gross of 10 million. All Class A vampire flicks.
Yeah, Cindy's right, Scotty. Malachi, one of the screen greats. It's like having Lugosi, Karloff, Christopher Lee, Vincent Price. And he's right up there with the very best of them.
Malachi, up there with the greats of horror stardom. We'll meet our horrific superstar and begin our conversation with the mighty John Stanley after these unavoidable horrors. Do you love horror, science fiction, B-movies, horror hosts, old-time radio, just plain spooky stuff? Then you should sign up at patreon.com/Lord Blood-Rah. You'll be supporting the production of Lord Blood-Rah's Nerve-Wrackin Theater, presenting the best, worst, and wildest horror films ever made. Lord Blood-Rah's Nerve-Wrackin Auditorium, featuring the best of old-time radio horror. Captain Paxar's Star Cadet Hour, showing classic 1950s sci-fi shows for Star Cadets of all ages. Plus, you'll get exclusive access to bonus content like Behind the Curtains of the Nerve-Wrackin Auditorium, a deep dive into radio horror. Lord Blood-Rah's B-movie reviews, a look at a classic low-budget drive-in feature, and much more. Sign up today at patreon.com/Lord Blood-Rah for the love of horror.
Larry!
From the exotic geisha houses of Tokyo to the back alleys of the Ginza Strip comes the terrifying news of a fiendish creature that threatens to destroy all who stand in his way. This is the frightening story of an American reporter in Tokyo who unwittingly became the victim of a shocking scientific experiment that turned him into a horrible mutant, half man, half monster, the Manster.
What happened? He got away. I think I know where he's going, to Tara's. Follow me. Right.
There's panic in the streets as the unheard-of terror of a half-man, half-monster runs wild through the city.
There he goes!
Don't miss The Manster, a genuine thriller in the most frightening sense of the word.
We'll return to Nightmare in Blood, where preparations are being made for the San Francisco Horror Convention and the appearance of Malachi. But first, here's the first part of my recent conversation with the writer and director of tonight's film, John Stanley. Ah, the mighty John Stanley. Thank you for being here on the Nerve-Wrackin Theater.
Well, Blood-Rah, thank you for inviting me. Good Lord, what a great time I'm looking forward to.
So, John, among the many things you've done in your life, before you hosted Creature Features, the horror host show that I grew up watching, you wrote for years for the San Francisco Chronicle entertainment section. And then
33 years.
33 years? Oh,
yes.
My. Now, you went, if I'm not mistaken, you went directly from that to making tonight's movie, Nightmare in Blood. What was the inspiration?
Well, it was made during my years at the Chronicle. What happened was there was an artist named Ken Davis, and we both lived here in Pacifica. So we started riding back and forth to work together. And during those rides, we would talk about our love for movies. And I said, well, why don't we make a 16 millimeter short subject? And we did. It was called Homecoming, a Fable. It played at several film festivals across the country. It was a 15-minute horror short. And then Bob Wilkins, who was at KTVU Channel 2, he also played it one evening, not long after he took over the show. It was the first short subject film he played. And after the success of that, Ken and I decided, let's try to make a full-length feature film. And we chose the horror genre because we really loved Bob Wilkins, and we were just impressed with what was happening across the country with so many horror hosts. So anyway, Ken Davis and I decided, let's do a horror film that's set at a convention. Conventions were very popular at that time after the success of Star Trek. I raised $50,000, and we got the script ready to go. We then did the casting in San Francisco, and we rented the Fox Theater in downtown Oakland. Although the movie was to be set in San Francisco, we actually spent 3 weeks at the Fox Theater shooting most of our movie. There were a couple of other locations, but we were able to finish it in about 3 weeks. Nightmare in Blood, before it was released to theaters in America, was played in Paris at the largest theater in downtown Paris, and was very well received by the horror fans. Some of the French horror directors were there, and it was a major event. And this was about a year before the film was finally released in America, where it played all the way across the country. First run, then it was second run, then it went to the drive-in theaters. It did remarkably well for a low-budget movie.
Hi.
Hey, babe.
Cindy.
Hi, Barbara.
Hey, you're late. Yes, I got hung up at the health spa. 3 overweight
Good
ladies.
for your health. You get out there on the golf course and you'll forget about all your troubles.
What do you think?
It looks great.
Good,
I got
Harry. We
something
got
like
work
this
to do.
back at the
All
health
right.
spa.
Play it where
that
she
will make
lies.
this look conservative.
Professor Seabrook?
George Wilson.
That's right. How do you do?
Hi, glad you made it.
Good to be here. Is this your committee?
Yes, Cindy O'Flaherty, George Wilson.
how
George
you
is
do?
host of
How do you
Fright
do?
Flicks. I'm going to be on the show tonight.
Ah. Oh, and this is Barbara Castle. She's helping me with the fashion coordination.
How do you do, Barbara?
And Philip Scott, Scotty's handling the writers
there.
program and the film.
This is Harry Marsden, my cameraman. He'll be moving around. Just ignore him.
All right. Oh.
You know, Malachi's refused to be on my show tonight.
Well, it's rumored
Brian?
that he hates your show.
And you in particular.
Well, I don't
Brian,
care.
please upstairs.
That's why I brought Harry. I'm determined to get an interview with him tonight, no matter what.
Good luck.
Well, good luck to you, Professor. I got a little surprise for you. We're having another guest on the show, Dr. Carl Unworth.
Oh, no. No.
I hope to keep it a friendly discussion.
Oh, well, now this is something I'd really like to see.
Well, here's another added thing. He's organized the women's groups in town, and they're going to have a demonstration outside the theater tonight.
Well, the pickets are hard at work, Billy. They're doing some of the promotion for us. Malachi would love to hear you think that way, Billy boy.
Those must be the two PR men, Harris and...
Mr. Harris. Mr. Harris, how are you? How are you? And Mr.
Just call me BB.
BB.
You must be Professor Seaver.
Yes, I am.
Nice to meet you, Professor.
Nice to meet you.
This little darling?
This is one of my associates on the committee, Cindy O'Flaherty. BB.
Cindy O'Flaherty.
How do you do?
Mr. Harris. Publicity purposes.
Well, we're still getting things together. We should be ready in a day or so.
Now then, before Malachi arrives, there are a few strict rules he insists upon. In the tradition of the screen greats, he feels he must live the role of the vampire at all times. He'll have it no other way.
Well, all of us understand the conditions of the contract and appreciate his attempt at realism.
Well, that's the way of it, Professor. Now, you take this cross here on Cindy's neck. It'll have to come off.
Malachi, I'm Winslow Seabrook.
Ah, Professor. I've read your novels and only regret that you have yet to indulge in the vampire genre.
Well, that's something I've regretted myself. Perhaps after this meeting...
As an actor playing a role, I assure you I have my own very distinct ideas of the vampire's place in contemporary society.
I'd like to hear those ideas.
Certainly. Later, perhaps, during the convention.
That Harris is a creepy little guy.
That's PR men for you.
Hatchet man working for Malachi out of Hollywood.
I gotta get back to the spa. We close at 10. Come on over, Cindy, when you get finished, and we'll go for a midnight swim.
By midnight, I'm gonna need that swim.
Come on, Mike, come on. Let's keep that. Come on. Malachi, I'm George Wilson. You know, Fright Flicks host.
I've been informed of your program. And of your tongue-in-cheek commentary directed at the genre of horror films.
Well, it seems to be what the fans like.
Indeed.
That's a bogey for you, George.
Let us set the stage, Professor.
Okay, fans, I guess I'm the villain now. Everybody will have to leave. There'll be time for more autographs later, okay? Everybody out now, please. Right this way.
I think we've complied with everything that your PR man, Mr. Harris, and Mr. Oop, very careful coming up these stairs. They're really dangerous. This morning, one of our crew fell in there. We've slanted all the publicity so that the buffs will think that you're actually in the coffin asleep on the stage during the daylight hours of the convention.
I intend to maintain a believability in the supernatural as best I can. Such a believability should be the prime motivation behind all horror films. An actor cannot afford to disappoint his fans. And now, Professor, if you will excuse me, I have several public relations angles to discuss with Mr. Harris.
Where's Malachi?
He's, gone. Well, he must have left already.
Oh, maybe just taking a little nap. No? I guess everyone's gone.
Well, let's go.
Well, where to?
Gary Arlington's comic book store. I told Scotty we'd meet him there. We're going to go over the comic book displays for the lobby.
You notice how dismal everything looks when there's no one here?
Hello! Lonely, all right. You can almost feel it generating its own personality. Its own emptiness.
Come on, let's get out of here.
We can lock up on the way out.
If you blinked at the wrong time, you may have missed the quick cameo of the original host of Creature Features, Bob Wilkins, there in the crowd. Well, we'll be back with more Nightmare and Blood and our conversation with John Stanley after these less than inspiring commercials. Old Time Radio Horror. Experience the subtle magic of old-time radio horror every week with Lord Blood-Rah's nerve-wracking auditorium, chilling audio nightmares from radio classics like Lights Out, The Witch's Tale, Dark Fantasy, and many more. Available on YouTube and most podcast providers. Lord Blood-Rah's nerve-wracking auditorium. Please leave your eyes at the door. You will not need them.
From ancient Genesis to the modern screen, is the name written in blood. Ega!
If I could just call you on the phone. The code of the ghost at the sign of the toad. Nobody lives on the Brownsville Road.
Thrill to the newest recording star, Artaud Jr.
Oh, they're screaming this way.
See ravishing Marilyn Manning in a thrilling, chilling story. The last of the prehistoric giants sees his first girl. Noah. And Curious newsmen search deep in giant country for the last of the ancient cavemen. See a tough giant tamed by the soft hands of his captive woman. See him sacrifice his ageless beard for her love. Then lose her to a boy in a dune buggy, escaping a burning desert. Ega's primitive passion was love or kill. Hear Ega talk, the ancient language of love, used at the beginning of time. See Ega!
We'll return to Nightmare in Blood after more of my conversation with the mighty John Stanley. So, John, you, unlike a lot of other horror hosts of your era, have been a lifelong horror and science fiction fan. So I've got to ask you, what were some of your favorite vampire films, and how...
I'm glad you said science fiction, because I really had not seen the Universal horror films until they came to television in the late 1950s, and that's what caused the creation of all the horror hosts across the country. The various TV station independent now had the ability to buy a package of these Universal films and have someone introduce them on Saturday nights. So I hadn't really seen those. What really inspired me going to the movies with my father, who was a big, big movie fan. In fact, his uncle was the man who designed the Oscar, the Academy Award. Can you believe that? That was a family event.
Wow.
Yeah. Anyway, he took me to see The Thing from Another World in 1951, and that utterly frightened me to death. And shortly after was The Day the Earth Stood Still. And those were the films that really inspired me, and I suddenly was interested in horror. But I loved the Frankenstein movies that Universal made, the Dracula movies with Bela Lugosi. Those came later, though. But it was really those science fiction movies that inspired me.
Were there any films that you could say kind of directly inspired, especially the character of Malachi in Nightmare in Blood for you?
How Malachi came about, I'm not sure. And we were very lucky to find Jerry Walter, who portrayed him. He had a certain strength and power when he performed. He really captured your attention. And he was the actor who really brought that character to life in a way that maybe other actors would not have been able to do.
So this is home for the next week, hmm?
This is it. And does it suit you?
Not bad.
Oh, well, for such short notice.
It's another Surgeon Square.
You know, practice is keeping you boys very proficient. The Gestapo would call this subterranean chamber a safe house.
One episode out of many.
It's more years than I care to count.
Well, I stopped counting long ago.
Good. What have you boys planned for the evening?
Oh, a little nocturnal sojourn, perhaps?
Sticking out our necks, you mean?
Oh, come off it, Harris. You know you enjoy your little excursions into the night.
Fair exchange, I call it. You do for us, we do for you.
I still wish we'd stayed in Beverly Hills.
You know my career is everything. How could I turn down this opportunity? Another mark in the history of the cinema. The first horror con with Malachi, the prime attraction. Not even Lugosi had a chance like this.
It is almost a work of art.
It is a work of art, Cindy, reposing in four-color limbo since the year of darkness, 1954, when censorship caused these works to wither and die.
Never in your eyes.
Nor in the eyes of those who appreciate the greatest medium of all time, the comic book.
Ah, vintage Wally Wood, 1951.
Yeah, right. As you can see, the sands of time have taken away nothing. They've given only freshness.
That gives me a chill, you know. It's a satisfying chill.
Looks like we could use a few new candidates on the board.
Let's see.
Maybe we could fill it with some of those nice folks we met in the lobby.
Removed from the body and most of the blood drained. Ironically, the theater was presenting a double bill of horror films at the time.
Look, we're counting on you to give us a hand decorating the theater over the weekend.
I stand by eagerly. I feel it is an honor to partake in the first of horror cons.
Well, I hope it's not the last.
You've really got this place together, Gary.
A shrine for comics of all times past and of all times to come. What you see about you has come to symbolize my life's work.
I've got to get to the TV studio.
Fright Flicks seems to be where it's at these days.
Can you handle him?
Who, Unward? He's a born loser.
He does have a way of persuading people.
The persuasion of the truth is stronger. Men will turn to ashes. Only comics will prevail.
Well, I'll see you at the theater tomorrow, okay? Max got it.
Good night.
Cindy, I'll walk you to your car.
Oh, thanks.
Nice, Jerry. Thanks again.
Been meaning to reread Sherlock Holmes and the Sign of the Four.
Of mysteries I know little. Of comics I know all. The truth of the universe can be found here. The mythos of mankind. One need only look among the old, new, horrifying, funny. Peace, war, love, hate, underground, above ground, death. All is here, within these walls.
We'll be ready to go in just a minute, Dr. Unworth.
This is my pet.
So how'd you get Malachi to come down for this horror con of yours? He didn't want to come to the show.
Well, we were lucky. We contacted his manager in L.A. And he was free, fit into his schedule. Plus, we're showing 4 of his films, too.
And now, stay tuned for the incomparable George Wilson, coming up next on this channel with another Fright Flicks.
This is what we're about to go. Good evening, fans. Welcome to Fright Flicks, the show for Saturday night losers without a date, the show for people with nothing better to do. I've been reading a lot of letters from you viewers, and you're all asking me the same thing. Why do you even bother, they ask me, to show 2 rotten films every week? Well, tonight we sort of got an answer for that. Instead of 2 rotten films, we're only going to show 1 rotten film, okay? And instead of our first feature, we offer 2 distinguished guests, each with a different point of view about horror films. On my left, a man who actually enjoys the things, the noted author, Professor Winslow Seabrook. And on my extreme right, Dr. Carl Unworth, a psychologist who has devoted the last 10 years of his career to a crusade against horror films because he feels they contribute to the deterioration of our youth. In fact, this very program is featured as a contributing cause in Dr. Unworth's latest book on the subject, Rape of the Young Mind. This book treats horror films in some depth. And indeed, Doctor, you have an entire chapter on the vampire film actor Malachi. How come?
The malignancy known as Malachi is indeed the core of my book, Mr. Wilson. His exploitation, grade Z vampire films have sickened and poisoned the minds of young Americans for too long now. Why, it's an insult to the intelligence of any God-fearing Christian who knows werewolves and vampires do not exist. Here you see a man who in one breath claims to be the epitome of the cinema vampire, who has the audacity to call his work film art, and in the next breath poses for this kind of trash.
What an excellent time for me to mention the first annual Horror Con, which will be held right here in San Francisco next week with Professor Seabrook in charge.
I'm uniting the mothers of San Francisco so they won't permit their children to attend this disgusting event.
Once again, we are
Petitions
faced
are
with
now
a
being
self-appointed censor who wants to tell us what we should or should not have. I've often wondered, Doctor, what's your personal reaction to a really good pornographic film?
I've examined many such films.
I'm sure you have, Doctor.
Oddly enough, it's time for our first commercial break.
Well, you've done a fine job taking pictures of all the nice folks for the board.
It's just all part of the business of life.
What are you 2 standing there for? Get busy, both of you.
Is it your throw or mine?
I believe it's your throw. Get the shakes, have you? I'm not doing those yet. Can you stand the shakes, Billy boy? You've got a fine attitude, Billy.
My throat.
Malachi appears irritated. I have the feeling someone's going to get it tonight. Well, come on now, get on with your throw.
John, my favorite character in the film, other than Malachi, of course, is the comic book guru, Gary Arlington. Can you tell us a little bit about that character?
Yeah. In 1966, the real life Gary Arlington opened a comic book store. It was exclusively comic books on 23rd, just off of Mission Street. And I went over to the store just right after he opened, and we got to become close friends. And we turned to him when we were making the movie and said, we're going to have a character based on you. We're going to make him a religious-like character. He's going to wear a robe, and he's got to talk like he's a priest about comic books and so on, because he so loves them. That's everything about his life. And Gary helped us with the movie. He provided, whenever you see a stand of comic books, that was brought to us from Gary Arlington. And I'm glad we did that character because it pays homage to one of the great figures in the history of comic books. He also created the underground comics. Remember that? That was a very unusual form of artwork. He's the one who created that. And so he made his contributions not just with the store and selling every kind of comic book, but he helped to create a type of comic book that was popular right after I think around 1969 and 70.
Yeah, San Francisco was the epicenter for underground comics. You had Robert Crumb, Rodriguez, all the artists were...
Oh, Robert Crumb. I would go to the store maybe every couple of weeks to see what was new. And a few times there was Robert Crumb standing next to a rack of comics, reading from one of them. Yeah, he was very close to Gary Arlington.
Oh, that's great. That's great. Well, we'll be back with more of our conversation with John Stanley after these unfortunate interruptions.
Attention, Star Cadets! This is Captain Paxar of the Interdimensional Peace Force speaking. All Star Cadets are ordered to report every Saturday morning at 9 a.m. Earth Pacific Standard Time to these internet coordinates, where you will be sent on a daring mission through time, space, and alternate dimensions, alongside such classic retro sci-fi heroes as Flash Gordon, Captain Zero, Tom Corbett's Space Cadet, Space Angel, and many others. Again, report to these internet coordinates every Saturday morning at 9 a.m. Earth Pacific Standard Time for Captain Paxar's Star Cadet Hour. And always remember, Star Cadets, keep the peace.
Explosive birth of a strange new world, the planet Nova, millions of miles away in the eerie silence of outer space. Man's rocket takeoff on an amazing voyage of exploration with a strange crew of 4 daring adventurers on board. A professor from an American university, a biochemist to run tests on whatever life exists, a doctor to check the known and the unknown medical data, a mineralogist to search for the radioactive materials that gave this new world birth. See their terrifying terrifying battle with savage beasts never known on Earth. The wild fear when mankind is brought face to face with giant mastodons from eons long past. A prehistoric world comes to life again today, millions of miles away in space. The horror of huge, maddened monsters raging for the kill. The Battle of the Titans.
Hand me that berry pistol.
Are you thinking of Ralph and Pat?
I hate to bring them into this. It's our only way out of here.
Thanks for the swim.
Sure you don't want me to stick around a little while longer?
Cindy will be here in a little while. Everything's cool.
Don't keep her up too late now. We've got a lot of work to do tomorrow. Good night, babe.
And so don't forget, next week at this same time, the famed vampire actor Malachi in his first feature film, Fangs Over London. Unfortunately, Malachi himself won't be here, even though he's in town, but I can understand that. No one likes to review the mistakes of his youth. Professor Seabrook, you were telling us something about the effect of horror films.
Yes, well, these films are a superb outlet for our frustrations. Instead of persuading us to commit crimes, as my colleague purports, horror films may help to prevent that very thing.
How about that, fans? We show one horror film and keep thousands of potential criminals off the streets because they're all sitting at home watching our show. Oh, it's a special treat, fans. In person, Malachi.
I wasn't informed of this. If you think I'm going to
Sit down. You know nothing of horror, nor of the enjoyment my films bring to the young throughout the world. Like so many others, you want to suppress the creative imagination. You look for the illness in others when that same illness permeates your very soul. And now it's time for a message. The only message will be directed at you, with your shoddy attempts to make a mockery of the entire horror genre. You call it tongue-in-cheek, when it is a slap in the face of every decent horror film actor. Tainted our images beyond repair. To my legions of fans, I must apologize. But I felt it was absolutely necessary to appear here tonight.
Cindy, is that you?
Such a tender young thing.
Scotty, you still here? Hey, Barb, you in the pool? Hey, Barbara, I decided to take you up on that midnight...
happened if it was him?
He was standing in the doorway by the health gym just as we were leaving.
It was dark, but it was him, all right. Young Vettinger. You don't forget the face of a man who's followed you for the past 25 years. City after city, always dogging us. We should have done something about the Avenger long ago.
In the meantime, we still have 4 empty containers. I suggest you make another selection on the board.
Why isn't the Avenger on the board? Just a moment. I believe it's my turn. Thank you. Well, now, looks like Mr. Marsden is approaching the 17th hole. We'd better get at the business at hand.
Right, on with the business of life.
For crying out loud.
It's nice to be working in the daytime for a change, Billy boy.
That old nightlife can really do a fellow in.
Mr. Marsden doesn't seem to be having a very good day.
Oh, he's 3 strokes off already.
You ready?
230 yards.
Okay, honey.
Okay.
Good luck.
See what we can do with it.
Oh, honey, you went in the rough again.
5th time today.
Oh, that's too bad.
Boy, I'll never live this one down.
Oh, well, come on, let's go find it.
Oh, boy. Well.
Oh, don't worry. Are you sure it went down this way?
Not far from here.
Probably rolled down here. Oh, there it is.
Professor Seabrook?
Yes.
Lieutenant Driscoll, homicide.
Yes, Lieutenant. They called and said...
Barbara makes the 3rd dissected corpse we found in San Francisco in the last 48 hours. I understand she and Scotty were planning to be married.
Yes. She was a very talented girl, Lieutenant.
Any enemies?
928.
Someone was their enemy last night.
And your name?
Well, if you pick up anything, let us know.
1970 Francisco Boulevard. And the phone number? 337-47.
Tell me something, Professor.
Okay. Can you think of anything that...
What's it feel like when the horror in these posters starts to happen to you?
Okay, if you can think of anything, please tell me this number.
Ray?
I'm okay.
Why don't you take the rest of the day off, huh?
Work is best for me right now. I'll see you later.
Can I talk to you for a minute, Professor?
Sure, Scott.
I saw her, Professor. Barbara.
The whole thing is so senseless.
That's just the point, Professor. It wasn't senseless. This morning, someone carved up Harry Marsden.
George Wilson's cameraman. Oh, my God.
Blood was drained. Vital organs removed. Identical to Barbara's.
It's beginning to sound diabolical.
Here's something else. Out of the 3 murders, 2 of the victims were in this very lobby when Malachi arrived last night.
Look, I've been robbed. That man Harris, the PR man, he gave me this. Look at it. No damn good. It's worthless. Now, you people are responsible around here, and I'm holding you personally responsible. I knew he was going to cheat me. I could see it in his eyes. Now, I am holding you personally responsible.
Okay, relax.
All right.
Here.
Good enough. In the old days, they made good pictures. Oh, the cabinet of Dr. Caligari was real famous. Oh, the hunchback, a real monster. Hey, Cheney, he knew.
Look at this, Professor.
It's pretty old.
Looks like a dime.
No, it's not a dime. It's British.
1824.
Yeah, it's a sixpence. Must be George IV.
I wonder where Harris got this. You know, there's something weird about those two.
Granted, they don't fit the mold of the PR men I've known.
Some new films have just arrived this morning. Guess I'd better screen a few. Weed out the best ones for the fans.
Okay.
Now, John, our horror host in this film, George Wilson's Fright Flicks, was filmed on the original Creature Features set with Bob Wilkins before you took over as host after Bob retired. Tell us about your time hosting Creature Features.
Bob did the show every Friday. Well, I had contacted Bob. Bob and I had become very good friends even before he came to the Bay Area. He was originally in Sacramento doing a horror show there. And I contacted him, and we communicated by mail and phone calls a lot over the next few years. And then when I heard he was coming to the Bay Area, I called him and said, I've got to interview you for the Chronicle. I want to be the first to do that, which we did. We had a huge article about him, and he was quite amazed. And anyway, that was the beginning of our wonderful friendship. And I would often write to Bob and describe a movie to him that he was going to show, because Bob didn't know a lot about horror movies. It was not his thing. It was more of him just playing a character. And when he decided to retire, I got a phone call from the publicist at Channel 2 telling me that Bob was going to retire. And I thought, oh, that'll be a great story. So I called him up at home, and he was telling me, yeah, I'm going to retire. I want to go turn to new things in my life because I've been doing this for so long. And I said, gee, Bob, who's going to take your place? And he said, well, why don't you take my place? You know more about horror and science fiction than anybody else I know. And I went out with Ken Davis, and we photographed a lot of stuff of me around movie theaters in San Francisco and put together an opening like I was doing a creature feature show. And they really liked that at Channel 2. And it was Christmas Eve. My wife and I had been off visiting family. We came home on Christmas Eve around 7 o'clock. The phone rang. And it was Judith Morgan Jennings, the PR lady from Channel 2. She had been at the party, Christmas party, and overheard an executive saying John Stanley is going to replace Bob Wilkins. Wow, what a Christmas Eve that was. It was like the real Santa Claus had paid me a visit.
Oh, I'm sure. Well, John, I would be honored if the former host of Creature Features through to commercial here on the Nerve-Wrackin' Theater. It's all yours.
Yeah, stand by, viewers. Lord Blood-Rah and I will be back very shortly. You only have to wait a very indecent amount of time.
Dance, baby, dance, come and dance with me. Hear the beat of the pounding sea. Ride, baby, ride, come and ride with me. Let your feet go easy.
What do you make
Where does the other end go? It dumps into the ocean.
It looks exactly like the South American Fantigua fish. I hope you can take one alive, Sheriff.
I still believe that a human clawed that girl to death. The Beach Girls and the Monster, starring John Hall, Sue Casey, and the glamorous Watusi dancing girls from Hollywood's famed Whiskey A Go-Go nightclub. Music by Frank Sinatra Jr.
You got a monster in the surf. Yeah, yeah.
Chicks, do you have a problem? You won't have after you meet the monster on the beach. If you see this ghoul, play it cool. Beauties in bikinis, laughing, singing, surfing, sinning. Beach party lovers making hey hey in the moonlight while the monster waits and watches. Yeah. This one will kill you.
Come out from behind that curtain. He's appearing before our very eyes. I tell you, this place is cursed by the gods.
I want to see your blood dripping down.
Knock it off!
Don't bother with the last reel, Jimmy. I can't take any more of this dog. Kill it.
Know what dumb is? Dumb? You are stupid. You don't think before you make a move. You just move and that's it. I don't understand how you could do such a dumb thing. But likely you don't understand nothing. Really dumb. You just don't think sometimes. You do things without thinking. That's your problem. You ought to be a nanny. You know, you're so good. Give her one of those coins to that blabbering old fool. You another slip like that, you'll be resting in Potter's Field again. I tell you, it was an honest mistake. What are you trying to do anyway? You trying to promote my own death now? Promoting our own eternity, you fool. Another 2-year fling for us, huh? Well, it better be quick. I'm starting to get the shakes myself. Come on, let's get out of here. Malachi's coffin will be safe enough. Back to Surgeon Square we go. Selling our goods. That's it, Billy boy. Promotion. Always promotion.
Surgeon Square. Yes, a British term. Used to describe private medical colleges clustered around universities, usually specializing in anatomical research. Why?
Gary, is your store still open?
Normally, the store remains open 7 days a week, 9 a.m. to 9 p.m., closed on holidays. However, due to the singular urgency of the preparation of the Horicon, I've been unable to...
I need in, like right now.
A desire I'm most pleased to accommodate.
Let's go.
Scotty, what the hell is going on?
You'll never believe it, Professor. Let's go, Gary.
How is the research progressing?
It's beginning to fall into place, Gary. Listen to this. Number 10 Surgeon Square, the home of Dr. Robert Knox, anatomist, in Edinburgh at the old college on the South Bridge.
Alack, factual murder is not my forte. Crime does not pay. The famed comic book was my most deep involvement.
Factual crime is my forte. I should have put all this together sooner. William Burke. Bill Burke. Beebe. Hare. Harris. The original body snatchers.
Neither living nor dead.
Yet for the vampire, blood gives neither life nor death.
But it does sustain life.
And a career.
You know, there is something to be said for the art of the horror film.
You can talk about art, but few horror film actors have ever attained it.
It is the age-old problem, a lack of good parts. Lugosi, for example, would take anything just to keep working. Even the best. Vincent Price, Cheney Jr., Karloff, Christopher Lee, Lionel Atwell have always worked in potboilers. I have always demanded literate scripts. In fact, Professor, I was so impressed with your novel, Triple Trauma, that I've given some thought to you as my writer.
Talk to my agent.
Good. We might consider the ecological problems of the contemporary vampire.
Consider how air pollution and chemical poisons have taken their effects on the human bloodstream.
Excellent. And in turn, think of the effect this taint would have on the blood-drinking vampire.
Something else we might consider. Who is the true monster, vampire or man?
Well, it is the vampire who has come to symbolize evil. It is the human race that should have that honor.
I've never thought of that before. But that is the way a modern vampire could think.
And one more thing to think about. A new kind of love interest.
Love interest. Good. Love interest does tend to slow things down.
I mean, I'm tired of maidens lying in gothic beds zombie-like while Christopher Lee stares them to death.
I agree. Consider this situation. Let us say you and this girl are in love. Professor, you are a vampire. You lust for her blood, but you love her too much. Still, you need blood. You are miles from anyone else. Dawn is approaching. How do you resolve this complication?
Well, as Dracula would have done, I'd transform myself into a bat and...
Rubbish, Professor. Don't tell me you would use such superstitious rot. A 175-pound man transforming himself into a 14-ounce bat. The bat is a grotesquely ugly creature of the night. Rat-like body, claws, leathery arms. Horrible.
I was merely using the tradition set down by Hollywood. Superstition, folklore.
Don't believe everything you see in the movies, Professor.
The vampire could eat his own flesh, drink his own blood.
Disgusting. Absolutely. I'm afraid the morbidity of such a plot development would upset certain audiences. I do try to maintain a PG rating.
He almost sounded too real.
He does have a way. No wonder his fans call him convincing.
Hey, listen to this. In Britain, during the 1820s, the law required that all bodies be given a Christian burial.
Sanctimonious, the British.
With growing classes of students, the schools were forced to purchase their cadavers illegally. In the case of Dr. Knox, he turned to Burke and Hare. Hey, dig this. In just 10 months, they murdered 16 men and women, selling each corpse to Knox for 8 or 10 pounds.
And their own demise?
Knox exonerated of all blame, his career destroyed, Burke hung by the neck, his body skinned, his hide tanned, his skeleton put on the exhibit in the university's museum. Hare, a witness for the prosecution, released, vanished, and never heard of again.
Oh, boy. In the old days, they really knew how to make pictures. D.W. Griffith, Barrymore, Lon Chaney. They were the greats. What is this? Pictures on the wall. First, it looks like an electric shock. Bubbles all over. That's an X-ray machine. What do they want with that? Electric. Atomic energy. That's what I thought it was. Oh! What do we got? Looks like liver. Oh, no. That's pieces of paper. Oh. There's somebody living down here.
It's pretty crazy.
I once believed that Captain Marvel truly existed. Proceed with your belief.
Gary, I think those PR men are Burke and Hare, kept alive all these years without a trace of aging.
And what ancient alchemy could have achieved such a miracle?
Malachi.
And what does that make Malachi?
Maybe he's exactly what he says he is.
A vampire.
Do I believe it?
You better believe it. Look, good rule to live by. If it walks like a vampire, talks like a vampire, and the bodies are starting to pile up, it's a vampire. Do you love horror, science fiction, B-movies, horror hosts, old-time radio, just plain spooky stuff? Then you should sign up at patreon.com/Lord Blood-Rah. You'll be supporting the production of Lord Blood-Rah's Wrackin Theater, presenting the best, worst, and wildest horror films ever made. Lord Blood-Rah's Wrackin Auditorium, featuring the best of old-time radio horror. Captain Paxar's Star Cadet Hour, showing classic 1950s sci-fi shows for Star Cadets of all ages. Plus, you'll get exclusive access to bonus content like Behind the Curtains of the Wrackin Auditorium, a deep dive into radio horror. Lord Blood-Rah's B-movie reviews, a look at a classic low-budget drive-in feature, and much more. Sign up today at patreon.com/Lord Blood-Rah for the love of horror.
From the depths of hell comes The Devil's Messenger, starring the master of mystery Lon Chaney and Karen Cannon.
You could leave my message. You'd have to go back. Up there.
Oh, I can't. I won't go back.
You deliver that to a Mr. Donald Powell. Don't be afraid of me.
The Devil's Messenger delivers gifts from hell, turning man into a ravaging beast.
I took a picture of that old farmhouse. There's nobody in the picture. You saw it. Was there anybody in it?
No, there wasn't.
Somebody has come out of that house, and they're coming toward me.
Back from the dead, his lovely victim seeks revenge for her horrible death at the hands of a man driven mad by a gift from hell. Trapped in her icy tomb until the Devil's Messenger exposed her nakedness in her crystal prison.
Now let's get down to here.
She becomes the object of a scientist's lust. His consuming desire for her drives him to commit murder to keep her for himself. Not since Eve received the apple have gifts inflicted such unnatural consequences.
Tonight at midnight, you will be dead.
Just how do you intend to kill me?
I've no idea. I don't even know you.
The crystal ball foreshadows doom, for it is the plaything of the devil, and only he can change the events it foresees. You must see what the Devil's Messenger has in store for you.
You want to show me around?
Sure, I'd be glad to. Just let me get a couple of flashlights, just in case. Not afraid of the dark, are you, George?
Ooh.
Follow me.
Shouldn't we wait for the house electrician?
We're a low-budget operation too, George.
I think it's just a trip circuit.
Say, while we're here, can I get a shot at Malachi's coffee? Is that one of your guys?
Hey, what are you doing there? Get away from that coffin!
Stay back. Let me finish my work, damn you.
Damn it, I said get away from that coffin! Hold that. Sure. What's the matter with you? You crazy?
No.
Hey, somebody stop that crazy son of a... Hang on to him, Scotty. Don't let him up.
What the hell's going on? Who is this guy?
That's what I'd like to know.
He thinks we've stumbled inadvertently upon one of life's fleeting skirmishes.
Oh, there he is.
He was trying to pry open Malachi's coffin.
With this.
You fools. Now you're all in danger.
We're in danger. From what?
A real vampire?
I suppose we should call the police.
Police? For a guy who believes in vampires? Okay, on your feet.
I guess you're right. County hospital would be the best place.
The only place.
A head shrinker would be most apropos.
That man in the ambulance, he was the one at the health spa last night.
What are you talking about?
I'll never forget that face.
That's the link. He's on the same track.
Scotty, that was Barbara's murderer.
That man, he wasn't Barbara's murderer.
No, but I saw him. He's the killer.
He's not a killer, Cindy. You've got to trust me. It's a fantastic story, Cindy. But I need time to prove it.
I just wish that I could understand some of this. But all right. I won't go to Driscoll.
Thanks, Cindy. Thanks. Can you cover for me tonight?
Yeah, you're covered.
Good girl.
I count on you both to keep an eye on that coffin when I'm resting.
Sorry, Malachi. We were out taking pictures, snapping new candidates for the board.
Fools! Have you no skill in your craft?
The Avenger was here in the theater all the time. Give us the word, Malachi. We'll even skip the formalities.
They're trying to kill me. The Avenger has put himself in great jeopardy. He's right where we want him. Yes, we will skip the formalities.
You also believe Malachi is a living vampire.
And I'm convinced that Beebe and Harris are Burke and Hare.
Thank God. I can't believe it. You are the first person. The first person. I have been working alone for so long. I was beginning to think I would never find anyone who would believe me, who would even listen.
Oh, I'm listening. Call me Scotty.
Scotty. My name is Tobias Ben Halik. I'm Jewish. I'm a member of the Haganah, the Israeli Avengers. I was part of the original Jewish group assigned to track down fleeing Nazi war criminals. I have been concentrating my efforts for a very long time now on the man known to the world as Malachi. In the beginning, I thought I was pursuing a Nazi, but as the evidence amassed, I realized I was on the trail of something far worse, if that's possible. A vampire. A vampire who had been preying on thousands of human beings for at least the past several hundred years.
Evidence? What evidence?
I have evidence. Quite convincing evidence. 25 years of evidence.
I've got to get you out of here.
How?
We'll start with him.
Out cold, like a heron from the Channel Sea.
And the Avenger frees a bird. It's back to Surgeon Square.
Aye, to face the wrath of the devil's own.
Did you finish the job?
It's gone.
The Avenger got out ahead of us.
All right. We'll get the Avenger another time. In the meantime, I believe, Harris, that it's your turn. I'll fix the board. That won't be necessary. The board's ready.
When an adult watches a movie monster strangling a movie maiden, he never for a moment believes that he is seeing anything that really happened. But when a child sees the same scene, oh God, when a child sees the same scene, he lacks the experience to tell the difference between reality and the make-believe of the silver screen. Oh, Dr. Unworth, who gave you your degree?
Old Time Radio Horror. Experience the subtle magic of old-time radio horror every week with Lord Blood-Rah's nerve-wracking auditorium, chilling audio nightmares from radio classics like Lights Out, The Witch's Tale, Dark Fantasy, and many more. Available on YouTube and most podcast providers. Lord Blood-Rah's nerve-wracking auditorium. Please leave your eyes at the door. You will not need them.
That it could happen in America. That it could happen now. That it could ever happen to me. Another murder tonight. At Watergate. My apartment.
the order that he be taken alive.
The moon hasn't risen yet. Put a guard on me.
Okay, Tobias.
Look closely here, and you will see a startling resemblance to Malachi. This would place Malachi in Great Britain at the time of Burke and Hare. Now, look at these other posters. Look at the photos. In each one, the face is... And notice all of the different names. Maine, Amalek, Elaine Key. All of the names are anagrams or variations of Malachi.
An incredible coincidence.
Hello? Seabrook. This is a hell of an hour to... Apologize. Oh, all right, in the morning. What? Can't it wait? Oh, very well.
Due to Malachi's aristocratic background and his egotistical pride as an actor, he felt it was beneath him to seek out his own victims. He preferred accomplices. His early experiments brought Burke back to life. But after a short while, the aging process abruptly accelerated. And so Malachi began new experimentations for a better formula.
Which he carried out simultaneous with his stage career?
Yes, with his stage career during the Victorian era in England, with his own traveling troops throughout the depressed countries of Europe in the 1920s, and with an abrupt switch to the field of medicine as Hitler rose to power. Come, I want to show you something. Malachi and his henchmen were welcomed by Hitler, who was already surrounded by monsters of different kinds. This is footage I myself took in July 1945 at the town of Kaufbeuren, south of Munich. It was labeled a home for the feeble-minded and subnormal. This was Malachi's office at Kaufbeuren. He was in complete charge. We estimate he murdered at least 2,000 men, women, and children in his continual quest for the formula. When the home was finally liberated, several hundred corpses were found with their hypothalamus and pineal glands removed. 2 of those children were my own. One woman was my wife. I'm convinced he lengthened the effect of the formula to 2 years.
And after the war?
Malachi, as we know him today, first appeared in Hollywood in 1947 to resume his acting career. By the early 1960s, a predictable pattern was forming. Every 2 years, a series of 6 murders would occur.
I take it the 6 corpses were necessary to complete the formula for Burke and Hare.
Never any variation. I tried to destroy Malachi a number of times, but always I failed. This afternoon I tried again, and you stopped me. I now appeal to you. Will you help me to destroy this thing?
You've got my help. Professor? Cindy? For Barbara's sake, if nothing else.
I mean, it's insane. All of the pieces seem to fall into place.
The comic ethos decrees that I aid in the destruction of this force of evil.
I was just trying to remember. How do you kill a vampire?
Seabrook! You in there? Seabrook! Garbage.
Don't be frightened, Dr. Onworth. This is, after all, a most amusing place for us to meet.
Where is Professor Seabrook?
Despite what you say in your book, Doctor, mimicry is a natural part of my talent.
I warn you, Malachi, I'm not gifted with a sense of humor.
I've been all too aware of that fact for years, Doctor.
Why have you brought me here?
To see your expression. When you realize your life's work has been all foolishness and ashes. Violence and the macabre existed long before films came into being.
I don't have to stand here and listen to this. I'm going
You
to...
will do nothing. You will merely listen. What horror novel did Attila the Hun read before he destroyed half the world? From which motion picture did Burke and the Hare conceive the idea to murder for bodies and sell them to surgeons' colleges? All of these stupidities I could overlook, Doctor. But for one fact you so readily decry. The existence of the supernatural. For you see, Dr. Olmert, we in the darkness do exist. We do exist. No, Harris. He's mine.
How much longer?
Patience, please. We've become a formidable trio this past century. Bond has formed between us that is unique. I wouldn't want your impatience to destroy it.
Now what the hell's wrong?
Something's closing in.
Come on, man, get on with it.
I can sense it. Feel it. Strong, forceful power. Good.
No sign of them backstage.
I saw no sign of them in the auditorium.
For God's sake, give me up.
Into a world not yet known, in spaceships of the future, these men of courage and daring set out to conquer the universe beyond the known world, facing unbelievable dangers on every side.
We're being pulled into the sun.
Meeting new adventures in undreamed of places.
Mars.
Lost and trapped in space, with no hope of return.
We've consumed too much of the fuel.
But they have not yet faced the ultimate horror the planet Astar has to offer.
Look there.
Now back to Nightmare in Blood, where our heroes believe they have Malachi trapped in his coffin, not knowing that he's busy elsewhere, injecting the life-giving potion into his henchman's brains.
If no one has any objections, I would like that honor.
You wouldn't pay me to touch that thing.
The pleasure's all yours, Tobias. I thought vampires could only exist at night.
Sunlight should bring about an immediate demise.
Precisely. But there is no sunlight. This theater is too well cut off from the outside. No windows for the light to pour through.
Of course. It's like perpetual night.
This place is starting to get to me.
They're in here somewhere.
We all have a job to do. Our friend the Avenger is close at hand. He's brought some friends with him. I think it's time we laid him to rest once and for all.
I think our chances are better if we split up.
Are you kidding? If you think I'm going anywhere in this
I
theater...
meant that we should split into teams.
I go forth armed.
You two tend to the others. Ben Halik is mine.
I look for Malachi alone.
Scotty, you and Gary take the basement. There's a maze of corridors and rooms down there. Cindy and I will cover the backstage area.
I will check the front part of the building.
On with the business of life.
In 25 years, you four are the first to believe me. Some members of the Haganah, the police of the world. There is very great danger. I just want you to know, I'm very grateful to you. To all of you.
We better get moving. Good luck.
All this stuff.
This is a counterweight system made by Armstrong Power. 1927 or 28. I'm sorry, useless information.
Could you please try and think of something useful?
Just stay close.
Gotcha. This place really gives me the creeps.
Yeah. Look out for the
chair. Hey, wait.
What?
Nothing. It's okay. Shh. I know. Shh.
Did you hear that?
Yeah. It sounded like some breathing.
Where?
I think it came from that curtain back there.
Let's take a look.
Oh, terrific. I think so.
Pull the curtain back, Cindy.
Oh, I can't.
Go ahead. It's all right. Wonder where that friend of his, Harris, is.
Yes. Oh, my God, he's still alive.
It's impossible. I shot him 3 times. You all right?
Yeah, I just gotta catch my breath for a second.
Malachi's formula. It's made Beebe and Harris immortal. They can't be killed. Not with this, anyway.
I mean, how are we gonna stop him? He'll be here in a moment.
Got to think. How do you kill something immortal?
You chop it up into a million pieces. I mean, maybe it's still alive, but at least it can't hurt you.
A million pieces. Or a pile of ashes. Cindy, do you remember The Thing?
Which thing?
The movie Thing, RKO, 1951, played by James Arness.
You mean Howard Hawks' thing?
Right. Do you remember how they killed the monster?
They cooked it. With electricity.
Right. Wait a minute. Come on. The other day when the lights blew out, I saw a cable along this wall. There it is.
Look, The Thing was a movie. This is real life. How do you know it'll work?
I don't.
Well, give it a shot. You've got to do something. You're being chased by one of the original body snatchers, William Burke, who's been kept alive for over 140 years by a vampire's longevity serum. You know, I co-produced Creatures Con, the Bay Area's horror convention, for a few years, and nothing like that ever happened to me.
Instructions are to prepare for an attack by an unknown enemy. That's what he meant.
Hey, who do you think you are, anyway?
Answer me, or I destroy you.
Stop.
There's something behind this, something we don't understand. The weapon he uses, it's unheard of. Blasting flesh right off the bones.
Master control to fleet, set flight pattern to -.08. Increase speed.
They're coming right at us! Get down inside the cave!
Now, on to the conclusion of Nightmare in Blood, where Cindy and the professor are being pursued by the evil Bibi, and the vampire Malachi is still at large.
Such a tender young thing.
Run, Cindy! Get the hell out of here!
Look out! You all right?
Yeah, I think so.
Look.
He's turning to ash.
It's just like The Thing.
Paris.
Hey, man, this is fantastic. It verifies all of Tobias's theories.
In
insidious stronghold of the maddened doctor. What course of action is now indicated? Malachi will hardly be spiritually enriched by your handiwork. Violence was never my particular lifestyle. However,
The slugs went right through him.
behold, he lives yet.
Keep this thing until he gets it better. Let's see if this goes through him.
Harris? Did not I say before, man will turn to ashes. Comics will prevail.
Man, we've just had one hell of an experience here.
You should have been with us upstairs.
I hear you. Tobias, has anybody seen him?
We haven't.
No.
Everything wrapped up?
The final traces of the lab are gone.
The ashes of all 3 villains have been disposed of.
I made all the arrangements. The funeral for Tobias is set for tomorrow.
It will be a day of great solemnity.
Just had a look at the auditorium. A great turnout. Getting a little restless, though.
The gallery awaits.
You've really better go.
Welcome to the first annual HorrorCon. We're all here because we share a common interest. We love to be entertained by horror, whether in novels, film, comics. We don't mind being frightened because we've always believed that creatures of the supernatural to be mere figments of writers' imagination. These creatures of the undead do exist. They walk freely among us, preying on us. We must now band together with a new goal. A goal that goes beyond the confines of this convention. A goal designed to warn others that these supernatural creatures do exist. Our power of belief is our greatest weapon in this coming battle. Malachi and his henchmen have been destroyed. But there are others like him still out there, waiting. Beware the monster. He walks among us.
Well, John, we just wrapped up Nightmare in Blood. Tell the folks where we can find out what's going on with you and where we can get in touch.
Okay, well, first of all, I hope that we can get this new version of Nightmare in Blood into streaming, into a DVD. There's all kinds of possibilities. Anyway, Lord Blood-Rah.
Ah, yes.
My book, The Career That Dripped with Horror. This has almost 800 photographs in it. Many of them were signed by Star Trek and Star Wars people. And just countless interviews with some of the most famous people with so many wonderful stars. Stephen King, Arnold Schwarzenegger, Carrie Fisher, Mark Hamill, Ray Bradbury, Robert Bloch, Adam West playing Batman.
And that book is still available on StanleyBooks.net, I believe.
That book is available on StanleyBooks.net. You can also find my latest DVD, which has one of the nice features here. This has a history of movie trailers, horror movie trailers, from the 30s, 40s, 50s. You see a complete history of what Hollywood produced to sell their movies. And movie trailers back in those days were just totally different from movie trailers now. They just don't make them good anymore.
No,
Anyway.
they were an art form. They were beautiful back.
Both of these items are available at stanleybooks.net.
Very good. Very good. Well, John, I want to thank you so much for being here. Thank you for making Nightmare in Blood. I'm looking forward to seeing this movie out more in the public consciousness because it deserves to be seen more. And by the way, I couldn't help but notice your T-shirt. Watch horror films, keep America strong.
Watch horror films, keep America strong. That was Bob Wilkins' motto.
Right.
He had it on up on the wall for every show, and it's one of the most memorable of all the sayings that a horror host has used over the years. So that's why I decided to wear that today with you, Lord Blood-Rah.
Oh, yes. I'm not wearing my jacket right now, but I have that button. Watch horror films, keep America strong.
Good. You're more intellectual than I thought.
Fooled you too, huh? Well, John, thank you so much for being here. It's a pleasure as always. Thank you, the mighty John.
Thank you. I've enjoyed it so much. My memory is all twisted around. Remembering everything.
Racked?
Yeah, nerve-wracking. Nerve-wracking. Yeah. Lord Blood-Rah.
Thanks a lot, John. I appreciate it. And once again, I want to thank John Stanley for being with us tonight. And as you can see, I am proudly wearing my Watch Horror Films, Keep America Strong button, as I always do. Be sure to check out stanleybooks.net for all of John Stanley's great books and DVDs and his personal appearance schedule. Well, my lords and ladies, I want to thank you all for watching, and I want to invite you all back again next week when we'll do whatever this is all over again. As always, I am Lord Blood-Rah saying, geek out.